Today's topic is yet another video that makes me realize that men are disposable. It is wild. I had a full Instagram live that blew me away. Ladies basically coming on and saying that men are not necessary for the future of humanity. I'm gonna play the video.
Yes. So apparently you feel some type of way. It said, I think you said that you really want to be a mother on your own.
Yeah. It's not really want to be. It's like it's gonna happen. It's happening. So I'm 27, and I've wanted a kid since I was 23, but I've waited because I was with a partner. He didn't want a child, and so afterwards I was like, okay, well, like this is not gonna work. So I split up with him, and I started looking for like somebody else. Couldn't find anybody else. Tried, still looking. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, I could actually just do this by myself. Why can I do it by myself? So the thing is, like, I'm getting ready for this. Like, financially, I'm putting myself in like a good position. Buying what I believe I need to buy. I'm also doing my research. And it's not like I'm just going to jump into it. It's like I'm actively just preparing myself to do this. So yeah, I was raised by a single mother. My father makes like way less than my mom does. My mom is like at a high position. She makes good money. My father is a bus driver in France. He makes like bare minimum wage. Yeah, he has like advantages, but like it doesn't really do much. She doesn't even collect like child. Yeah.
So basically, because he couldn't provide, you think he would have made the situation not any better?
Yeah, basically. Like it would just like I feel like he would have been more of a weight than a help.
And yeah, and you don't feel like you missed out on anything with not having a father?
No.
Cool.
If I look at like a stereotypical movie, then yeah, I didn't play baseball or whatever with my dad. He was like throwing me the ball and I was hitting it like, oh,
right.
Big whoop. But,
could you imagine that another person in your situation would have liked to have a father?
Yes.
Okay. And so you couldn't imagine that your child is going to go through that exact same thing?
Yes, which is why so I don't want to get just like a sperm donor. Like I'm looking for in my situation where I want to be a single mother, I'm looking for somebody who I know or somebody who I will eventually meet that will be okay with providing me the sperm, but will stay in touch with the child if the child wants to be in touch with them.
Okay, and if that man who gives you the sperm and stays in touch, if he has like another family and other kids and prioritizes them over your child, what are you going to do then?
I mean, like it's his, like I'm going to be totally honest with the child, like how the situation is that we are an abnormal family and that we're not like a conventional. He is not conventionally being brought up. Probably going to be teased about it at school. It's not going to be easy, etc. And then I'm also going to explain to him like the situation with his dad, like whether he can contact him or not, and all of that.
Okay, but you understand the child didn't choose this life; that you chose it for him. It's not like you're telling him after the fact that he has to deal with something that's not ideal and very hurtful and potentially.
It's not ideal. It's just that it's not the usual. But I'm not like
no, you're saying it's not ideal. You don't know what it's going to be like for the child. You're saying that from your perspective as you as an individual. You don't know what the child's going to want. So when you say that, you're saying that after the fact, the child's been brought into this world. You brought him, right? He didn't ask to be brought here. And then afterwards, you'd be like, by the way, because of the way that I wanted to bring you into this world, you're not going to have a father. I mean, he gave you sperm and he brought you here, but he's got his own family now, and he probably is more focused on them. Do you understand? Like, he's already here. He can't choose to leave. He can't go back up your womb like, I don't like this offer. I'm out. I want to bring a child in this world because I really want one. And it might not be a situation he likes. I recognize he might get bullied for it, and he might dislike it. But I'm going to tell him and I'm going to have a conversation. Well, that doesn't matter if you have a conversation with him or her, because you only told them after you put them in that situation. That's like me bringing you to a party, okay? And everyone there is violent. I lock the door behind you, and I'm like, by the way, people in here are violent, so you might get punched. Does that sound like it makes sense?
I mean, no, but
I'm asking you a different question. Is the
Yeah.
child your priority?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge the fact that for most people raised in single parent households, the outlook on life is not very positive in terms of like the numbers and all these other issues? Do you recognize that fact?
No, I haven't looked at the numbers. I just heard it in your live stream. In
Bro, ask me how this girl says she's been researching and preparing to be a single parent, and she doesn't even know the numbers. She doesn't know the stats. She hasn't read the research. She hasn't read the literature. Nothing.
Because
Nothing.
she's gonna research on what? She's not gonna. She's gonna research on what I need to do to raise a kid. I need to dress him. I need to. How much money does it take? And that's pretty much it. Motherfucker's not concerned about the mental. Motherfucker's not concerned about the predicament. Motherfucker's concerned about that. It's not the first thing that comes to mind. People, whenever they tell the story of themselves, they set them out to be the hero. So she sets out to be, you know what? I'm gonna do a great job. It's all good. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna sit him down. I'm gonna talk to him, and everything's gonna be fine. You're not looking at the fact that it's a possibility that your child look at you and be like, "So let me get this straight, mom. You just decided that my life is gonna be hell, knowing that, and you just put me there, and everything's gonna be fine." Yeah. Well, you're fucking stupid, because a child can do that. A rebellious child can absolutely tell you, "Yo, you're fucking idiot. You're stupid."
Maybe not that language, but they can resent you. I can tell you right now, there are so many kids from single parent households who resent their parent because their parent pushed away their father or their mother,
Definitely.
or always spoke terribly about one of them. And so as a result, they're like, "Yo, you pitted me against him or her, and they weren't nearly as bad." There's so many people like that.
Yep.
So, you know, and people
But
think,
it's not gonna happen. But Abba, it's not gonna happen to me, because I'm gonna sit him down and we're gonna have a discussion. So it's gonna be.
And this is the thing that kills me. It's like, listen, transparency isn't a blanket forgiveness check. Just because you're
Yup.
transparent with someone after the fact, it doesn't mean that you've done a good thing. You can't slap someone and be like, "I did it because I was angry at you afterwards," and think it makes it okay. That's not the way it works.
Yep.
I don't know. It blows me away because this person's talking about, "I've done all this research, I've prepared, I've done all that." I'm like, great, fantastic, good for you. Do you know the numbers? Do you know the stats? Do you know the studies? Have you researched like the literature on children from these kind of households? What is it like when there's a sperm donor? Have you even looked into what the stories are like or what the numbers say for kids in those environments and how they're raised? Like, it frightens me just how flippant people are with like, yeah, the kid's not going to need a dad. How could you? And you know what's interesting? She acknowledged, she understood that even though she says she claims she didn't need a father and she was fine without it, which, you know, maybe she was. Maybe she's one of the few, right? She says that, right? And then I asked her, if someone else was in your circumstance, could you imagine that they needed a dad? And she's like, yeah, I could imagine that. I'm like, so you can't imagine that your child would be feeling the same way? That never occurred to you? No? No?
But you went, well, I know, it's just that, and change the subject. They don't really.
They never address it. They never address it.
No, they never address it. They don't stop and listen to. No, did you listen to what I just said to you?
No.
Did you listen, or you really, what you actually really want is more important? They never address it. It's just like, yeah, okay, I heard you. Yeah, you heard. You didn't listen.
I do know other single parented people, and they're fine.
Okay, let's be careful. I'm not talking about anecdotes. I got my experience. That's wonderful. You got your experience. That's wonderful. But we can't do anecdotal, right? Because I can point to 3 families who did great, and I could point to 10 families who did terrible.
What does the father bring other than the finances? Like what
Mentorship, guidance, a male perspective. It's completely different. It affects women actually far more, because women grow up to be far more attached to their fathers than they ever do their mothers. And that is a pattern that is constantly repeated across every society. That's why they have the term daddy's girl.
Yes.
Right? That's a very common thing. So when you say to me, like, what importance, it's like, this is like a new thing in society now, where we're like starting to downplay the importance and the influence of having a male or a father figure in people's lives. And we're turning it obsolete. And when you sit there and you ask me, like, what importance, that's frightening. That you like don't even have any idea of what a child may be missing out on by not having a father. I understand that you may think you're okay with it and that you are fine, and maybe you are. I'm not trying to tell you you're broken or whatever. But a lot of other people out there are.
No,
And
yeah.
just because you were cool with it doesn't mean your child will be. So if you say you're ready and you're preparing, I doubt that you prepared enough, because it doesn't seem like you understand why a child needs a father. And that frightens me, that you think you're ready to bring a child in this world, but you don't understand why a kid may need a father. Do you not see how crazy?
Not ready. I am preparing.
Right, but that should be something. But you're saying you're going to do this by yourself. That should be one of the first things you learn about. All right, if I'm going to make this decision without a father, what does that mean to not know that a father's not going to be there? The fact that you don't know that, and you say you're preparing, like, how's that one of the first steps that you take before you get your finances in order, before you do anything else? Why don't you not know that?
Most people talk about the finances, so that, like, that's what I've been focusing on, like, I'm getting there. But that, I mean, this is interesting, and I'm definitely gonna look into it. But like,
please do, because I can bring on a whole bunch of people here who are from single parent households, and I'm telling you, they'll tell you, like, not having a dad or mom in my life fucked me up.
I'm gonna scuba dive without an oxygen tank. The first thing you should look at is what are the effect of pressure without an oxygen tank, or what is it going to do to your lungs, or what is not having, maybe I'm being too logical. Maybe I'm really being too logical with this thing, but what are the effects of that? If you're going to climb the Everest without oxygen tanks, well, you should look into what it means not to have oxygen on top of the Everest. What could happen? What are the statistics?
Bro, to me, it's not even just what they're saying. It's how there's like no awareness. There's like, no. I'm asking these questions. It's like the first time that they've heard it. And I'm like, how? How do you not know that people need their parents? You want to become a parent, but you haven't. This is like basics. But they have zero idea. They have zero idea. It's crazy how flippant people are about marriage and about bringing children to this world. It's so frightening to me. With all the research and all the readily available information that we have, like, just how, That's the thing that kills me. But anyways, I'm going to just play the end of this clip and that's
okay.
it.
Okay, well, listen, when it comes to adoption, I think I make a little bit of a concession there, because at the end of the day, there's a kid out there who has nobody, so one parent is better than nobody. All right, I think I can make that argument. What I would say, and I think where the conversation needs to be steered toward, is also acknowledging the fact that most of the time when people don't have partners around the age of 35 or whatever it is, generally it's not just there wasn't any luck. A lot of it also comes down to, well, what is that you're looking for? What kind of concessions are you willing to make? Are you willing to compromise on things that you think are absolutely important? I'd rather be alone than compromise on a lot of these important things. Then you also have to acknowledge that there's a bit of a choice that goes into the fact that you're alone and you're raising this child by yourself. You're essentially, and I'm not saying this is your situation because I don't know you, but what I'm saying is people are essentially saying, I don't want to compromise on my standards, so I'd rather be alone, but I'm also going to raise a child in an environment where I'm going to prioritize my own standards over what they're going to need potentially for them. And I think that's the attitude that I have an issue with.
Yeah, we had this conversation, you and I, before, and I was basically telling you, it's just people don't know the importance of men, and I think they sometimes purposely try to pretend like men aren't important. We get blamed for all these mistakes, and at the same time we're told we're not necessary. So it's not surprising to me that men are checking out of dating at insanely high rates. You know what? Like, I'm starting to turn the corner. I thought, people are way more balanced and nuanced than this, but I'm starting to turn the corner. I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to understand why these dudes is just like, these ladies is bugging. Because the way that they're talking about raising kids by themselves and all this other stuff, I'm like, since when? Listen, I was raised by a single mom. God bless her. She did the best job that she could. She still didn't do a good job. And that's not her fault entirely because of the circumstances around her. She did the best that she could, but it doesn't mean that her best that she could was a great environment to be raised in. The stress that it put on her, how much it negatively impacted her, the choices and the sacrifices that she had to make long-term in her life, it wasn't easy. Go talk to almost any single mom out there. They're going to tell you it's one of the most difficult lives. But then what kind of messaging are we telling these young women where it's like, you should voluntarily choose this if you can? That's crazy. The trauma that they're going to put on themselves and on the children that they raise. Zero consideration. I did not hear a single woman who came on that live that day who said they were for this and who even understood that concept. It frightened the fuck out of me, bro.
If you're for this thing, that is a sign of being unaware. if you're aware of everything that it takes, and you still want to do it, then you're maybe in a higher privilege, like money wise or whatever. You're good, but even then, I mean, it's still messed up. It's not great. It's not fun just to be there. And there's something that I hope you're surrounded by people that can fulfill that place, but it's not everybody that can. You want to raise a child by yourself, and it's not a great thing. And it really shows that men are disposable. Men in society are very disposable.
Yep.
Very.
Yeah. It shows that men are disposable and that a lot of these women are irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say the same thing to the dudes who get these women pregnant and then leave. Like, they're also extremely irresponsible.
Definitely.
But there's more at risk for the ladies.
Yeah.
Because they get saddled with the child at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like, if there's more at risk for you, got to understand what that means to raise that kid on yourself potentially, you know, and to be very careful with that, and to really think that over before you get into that situation.
I'm gonna be a homeless. It's not camping. It's very difficult.
But I don't pay rent.
It's more than that, and it's a bit the same thing. It's more than not just paying rent. You understand? Like, it's more than that. And the people that are in that predicament, it's not a choice. A lot of them is not a choice. A lot of them is, but it's still not. Most of them is not a choice. Things happen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to be in that spot.
Yeah.
So you saying that's what I'm gonna do? I don't know. It's super weird to me.
You know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say this: a child is not an accessory. It's not something that you want because it looks cool and it looks cute. This is your legacy. This is the thing that you pass down. This is something that you're planting in society and sending it out there to have an influence and a ripple effect. It's not for you to carry like a Birkin bag. That's not what that is. So if you're going to bring this baby into this world, this child, this thing that you're going to mold, you have the responsibility to give yourself the best tools to mold that child.
But
even if it means
like
you dip into your savings, even if it means that you're going to be unhappy, you have, maybe what I'm saying is controversial. I don't think it is. I don't even care if it makes you unhappy. I don't care. I personally don't care. Because at the end of the day, if you're voluntarily choosing to bring a life who didn't ask to be here, preach, would you agree with me that every child should be a parent's priority?
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
That's
what do you want me to say? And everyone's like, well, you know what, Abba? I was out of luck and I couldn't find. No, because you know what? I bet you 155%. If I went through your DMs, there's a bunch of guys who were interested in you that you were not interested, either because they weren't attractive enough, unambitious enough, didn't make enough money, whatever it might be. You didn't have any chemistry with them. I don't care if you don't have chemistry. If you're going to say, I'm going to voluntarily choose to bring a life in this world, bitch, you better settle. And same goes to the men. If men were talking crazy like this, I would say the same thing. The audacity of people to say, I want to raise a child by myself, but I wouldn't settle. But you make that child settle for something that's not right for them. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Like, parents who will move to neighborhoods where their children are going to be extremely unhappy just because the parents didn't want to be unhappy where they were living. Selfish as well. Your child's happiness and their well-being and their mental health is the most important thing. But you don't want to settle. It's crazy. This generation of parents blows my mind. I would even argue that our parents' generation were also terrible like that too. How flippant they were with divorces and the mental effect that it had on the next generation afterwards. Insane. But did they care? No. Because now we've become such an individualistic society that the individual is more important than the collective, the family unit.
That's pretty much it.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Sorry, it's not I don't get it. I'm just like the audacity. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's really what I said before. They don't want the role. They want the possession. Motherfuckers want a car payment. They want a car, no car payment, and they don't want to put no gas in it. You know, there's wanting a car and being a driver. You're a driver of your car. You have to pay insurance. You have to pay for your license plate. You have to pay for your gas. You have to pay for all of that, for the repairs. It's not just having a car. There's people that just want a car. And then they skip payments. They skip this. They skip that. They're not really responsible with this. Because what they wanted was the car. I want to floss. I want to shine. I want to put some mags on it when the car payment comes around, when the insurance payment comes around, when they skip on it. There's that maturity. They think that, you know what, I'd rather go pop bottles with my friends, and shit, I don't have money with that. Maybe you took a car that was too big for you. The problem is that a car is just a car. It's just a possession. Now they deal the same way that they deal with things that they deal with kids, and they don't do that. I want to have a baby, yes. But when the baby wants to wake up, you have to go there. When the baby asks too many questions, you have to answer them. When the baby this, when the baby that, you're there, because you don't have a baby when you have a baby. You're a parent. And there's a difference. And that is the difference. And people do not make the difference between having a baby and being a parent. But there's a huge difference. It's like being a father and being a dad. Are you going to be a dad to that kid? Or are you going to be a father? You're going to be there.
Preach. Hey, listen, I think that's the perfect note to end it on. Yeah, tell us what you guys think in the comments below. Like, what do you guys think about the stuff that you're hearing? And do you think this is good or bad? And I don't say this to put any of these women on blast, but I think it's going to be good for them to watch this back and to realize what they sound like before they make the big decision of bringing a child into this world. Because I think everyone should understand what that means. Because then maybe we wouldn't have so many kids from divorced parents or single parent households in certain situations. I'm not saying it's this idea of like wanting to have a child by yourself that's causing it. It's more so this selfishness and this irresponsibility that's causing a lot of these divorces, where people prioritize themselves over the well-being of the children. Yes, I said it. There's a lot of people who should have stayed in marriages to make sure that their kids were okay. Hot take. Yeah, you don't get to have that chemistry and that spark that you had with your husband or your wife. Sorry, you don't. Want to know why? Because your kid's mental well-being is more important. At least wait till they go off to college or university before you do that. How many kids do I know who were traumatized because you guys divorced when you were and caused a huge ripple effect in fighting? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just this selfishness that's like pervasive, and it throws me off. So maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe my hot take is too hot. But, for me, the idea of till death do us part, there's an importance to that. There's an importance to that, and I think we've lost that. So
I think that till death do us apart is more important when you have a kid than when you're married. But that's just me. Hey, till death do us apart ain't about the marriage. But when you have a kid, it should be that.
Hey, listen, on that note, let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Já nem sei, nem que seja só para estar ao seu lado, só para ler.